Hey, what's up guys? Lately I've been getting a lot of questions about how to do the Google Play integration in Godot 3.3, so I thought it was a good opportunity to remake that old video which I made with a lot less experience, and also to go over some of the common pitfalls. Specifically, a lot of you have been running into the error forward trap. Now, I fell into this trap, a lot of other people fell into this trap, and it comes down to configuration problems in your Google Play console or your Google Google settings and your SHA-1 key. So we're going to try to go through, I'm going to try to edit this as little as possible. I'm going to start from the beginning. We're going to set up a new app. I'm going to download the newest version of Godot, and we'll get through it. If you're interested, I can also make a follow-up video on this next time to show you how to update the plugin yourself with newer Godot versions, because I know that if 3.4 comes out, it's very possible we'll need to update the plugin again, and if I don't notice that it's been updated, then I won't necessarily do it right away. So it'll be useful for you to know how to do that. So with that being said, I'm just going to jump right into it. We're going to go into the process, and if you like everything here, you want to continue supporting the channel, hit the buttons down below and leave a comment telling me what you want, because that's the only way I know. So let's just get right into it. Alright, so let's start from scratch. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to grab ourselves the newest version of the Godot library, or the Godot engine. So godotengine.org. Okay, then we'll download this engine. We will download the 64-bit. You can do this with the mono version as well, but we're just going to go with the standard version because it's smaller. Another thing we're going to need is we are going to need the export templates here, and possibly we might need this AR library, but we will look at that in a minute. So while those are downloading, let's open up this Godot. We have 3.3.3. I think I might already have that here. 3.3.1, 3.3.2. All right, well, 3.3.3 goes on the desktop. All right, so we have Godot 3.3.3 stable, right? So let's create ourselves a project. So we are going to create a new project, and we're just going to call this Google Play Test, right? And we're going to create this folder. We're going to create in documents. We just have to hit the create folder button, and we'll make it ES3, create and edit. All right, so we've got our new Godot project, right? So now we need to just add Google Play integration, and that's all we're going to do today, is just Google Play integration from a brand new project. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to set up our, do we have our export templates yet? Yes, we have our export templates. So we're going to go to Editor, Manage Export Templates. You can hit the download button, but I find it's faster to get it off the website, which is why I downloaded the file. We are going to go to Downloads, and apparently I already had them. So let's add the export templates here, like so, and we've got them like that. So that's the first step. Make sure to have the Android export templates. The second step is create our Android export configuration. So you'll see here that we need a debug keystore. The release keystore is not as important, so we can actually sign it with the same one technically. But we'll focus on debug, and we'll look at release later if this video doesn't take too long. So to create a debug keystore, easiest way, we'll just look up debug generate Android debug keystore, and the very first one is the one I think I've always used. Yeah, so it's at coderwall.com, but just Google it, it's easy enough. First thing we're going to do is we are going to grab this. So debug keystore needs to be a specific alias and password, right? As dictated by Google. So create this specific one. So copy this and open your terminal. So I'm in my developer command prompt, which is generally what you want to be in, but you can probably just do it in your normal command prompt as well. So I think here. You're gonna look for key tool, right? So just look for key tool and see if it's here. If it's not there, it means that you need to install the JDK because it's part of the Java development kit. So what I would suggest is go to adopt open JDK, and I would look at that through Google, but it's adopt-openjdk.net. And for Android, from what I've seen so far, you're going to want OpenJDK 8 because 11 and older has issues. So click OpenJDK 8, hotspot, download the latest release, and install it. If you're on Linux or Mac, there are other ways to do it. If you're on Linux, I assume you would probably know how to do it anyway because you're on Linux. And if you're on Mac, yeah, I think you need to do it through Homebrew, but figure it out. I like adopt OpenJDK. So you've got your JDK installed. Open your command line. This is the command prompt. I will stay in my developer command prompt, which is installed with Visual Studio. And we are going to create our key store. Now I like to keep my key store in with my project files. So we're going to go into documents, .docker, documents, and it is, what do we call it? Google Play Test. Google Play Test. So inside here, we are going to paste that command in, which is this one here. Paste it in. So it's keytool-keygen, keystore debug keystore. So important parts, the file name will be here. The password is going to be under store pass. The name of the keystore is going to be called Android debug key password is Android. So just follow this guide. Again, I would Google it and copy the command. Oops. So I'm going to cancel that and restart that. Call engineering, name of the organization, city, Ontario, Canada, and yes, and then it will generate your key store, right? It'll complain that it's an old format, but it doesn't matter at this point. So the next thing we're going to need to do is we will get the key fingerprints, right? So further down, you'll see here, get key fingerprints. We'll need this later, but just to show it off now, if you use the exact same command, you can actually just paste in the same thing, and you're going to get a couple of things here. You're going to get your SHA-1 and your SHA-256. We're only going to need our SHA-1, and we'll use that later. So with that out of the way, we've got our key store made inside here. We're going to add it here. So inside our debug key store, our user will be Android and our password will be Android. And now this goes back to, if you look at the command we put in here, store the, actually it's Android debug key is the, I believe is what we need to do here. Debug user, debug password. I think user is the alias. But if we want to be extremely sure, I'm going to show you how to look up information too, so you can figure out problems on your own. Just Google it, Godot engine Android export debug key store, right? You'll go into the export docs. I think I went over this in my separate video on how to export for Android, link up above, but we're kind of doing it all together. So we created here, setting it up in Godot, Android debug key, right? And the command is actually on here as well. So you can do this, but this stuff as well. But, so it's Android debug key, Android. So here, they actually have it in editor settings. So you can do it per export like this, or if you want to, for each individual project, or if you want to do it, across the board, actually it looks like it set it for me. You can do editor, export, Android, and you can set it all here as well. And then it looks like for some reason we don't want to force system user. There we go. So now we have our exports set up. So let's open Android Studio. So Android Studio you can get by just, again, I use Google for everything, Android Studio. Go to download Android Studio and install it for Windows. There are other options, so there are Mac and Linux versions of these as well, but we're on Windows, so we are going to use Android Studio. And now ignore this specific project. We're going to, if you've just installed Android Studio, there's probably a button somewhere, but if you're inside project mode like this, what you will do is here, in here, you'll find AVD Manager. And this will be your virtual devices, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch one of these and make sure it has Google Play. So when you create your virtual device, you're going to pick a phone, TV, whatever, but make sure that the Play Store is part of your target, right? So if you don't have Play Store, you can't have Google Play services. So make sure you have this and hit the play button. Yeah, so it just crashed on me for some reason. So I'm gonna go back into my AVD and launch it one more time. It'll say starting AVD and it'll open. So when AVD is running, you'll see it happen here in a minute. You'll see the Android icon show up at the top right corner here in Google, inside Godot, which is exactly what you want. If also, once Android Studio is installed, once you plug in your phone and set it to debug mode, you'll be able to run it to your device as well. Okay, so now simple enough. What we're going to do here is we're going to create a 2D scene, and we are just going to put a canvas, not a canvas layer. We're going to put a canvas layer, and we are going to put a label that just says welcome to Godot on it. And here it's just going to say welcome to Godot. We will save that scene as welcome.tscn, and we are going to run it, which will make us choose a default scene, which we'll just use our welcome scene, and we will export. We'll hit the run button. So the first time you build this, it's going to take a couple of minutes, or it's going to take a minute, so just hang tight and wait. So you can see it a little bit. I didn't optimize my game for mobile, but you can see in the top right corner here it says welcome to Godot. It means that we've pushed it successfully to the device. Now if we want to fix that, I just want to see welcome to the Godot at the top of my screen. It's tiny, but whatever, it works, right? Oh, didn't mean to close that. Let's fudge me. Okay. So now that that is done, we've got an app that runs inside our emulator here. This device has already been set up with Google Play. If I look at here, you'll see Play Games is here, and I'm already logged in. So all of that is perfectly fine. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to add Google Play integration, right? And that's what we came here for. So that's what we're going to do. The first thing we need to do is inside here, we're going to say install Android build template. It's something we need to do. What it'll do, it will extract the build template included in the export templates, and it will create a local directory. So we're going to install this. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a new directory called Android down here, or it should. It should create a new directory down here, but if not, we will go to Documents, and we will go to Godot Google Play Test, and we've got our new Android folder here. So this is where our plugin is going to go. We got plugins, and then we've got build, and we've got different stuff in here. So what I have done is I have personally created a fork of PGSGP that I am endorsing specifically just because I don't want to have to deal. If I go to the forks here, and if I go back to here, September 16th, it looks like they have not upgraded to 3.3 yet. Yeah, they haven't updated to 3.3 yet. So I've got a fork here that works for 3.3. 3.3 PGSGP, right? So I recently created a new thing here. So we will, and I base this on the work of One Seed Fruit here, but I like maintaining my own stuff. NPE 22 days ago. I think the recent change I made. Oh, no. Okay, so apparently there might be an NPE bug here, but what you can do is check the tags. You'll find releases. And this was released 28 days ago. The NPE was after that. So I will look into fixing that bug eventually, but for now we will use this. So you need both of these. So you're going to just download both these files. We take the GDAP and the release. And we are just going to go to our Android folder in plugins and paste it in. And that's all you need to do for Google Play. Well, for the plugin side. Now we need to set up the rest of our project. So if you go to, again, the main repository, the README down here, I highly suggest that whenever you use anything, read the READMEs, don't just follow the videos, because there's answers down here that I might not cover directly. So we downloaded this. We've moved these into the plugins directory. We've created the build directory. We can enable the plugin in a minute. We need to add these strings, right? So in here, in plugins, we will open the build folder with Visual Studio Code, open with code. And this will just make it easier to work in. Yes, I trust the authors, whatever. So in our resource folder, there's a values folder, and there's a Godot project name .string here. Res values strings.xml. So we can create a new file in here, new file, strings.xml. And inside this strings.xml, we will add this. And remember, we need to add our own app ID here, but we'll do that in a minute. For the same reason, in our Android manifest, if you look here, under build Android manifest, we need to add some more, we need to add these basically. So in our Android manifest, you can put them in multiple places. Some people like to put it at the bottom. I personally like to put it with all the other metadata tags at the top. So I will actually just put it right at the top here. And maybe add a comment here. Okay, there we go. That's how we do it. And okay, and we will just say custom metadata for plugins. So this will do two things. First, you're going to see that we import this app ID. So in our strings.xml that we just created, we added this thing, and it's a string called app ID. That's what's being referenced here. This integer Google Play Services version that is created by the plugin that we just added to the project. So we need those. We have our string and we need our app ID. Now, what do we have left? That's pretty much all we have left to do for activating it, other than going to the Godot project, go project, editor, I think it's editor settings, project export plugins. Nope, I was leaning project export. Inside here, you are going to find a plugins area somewhere. Plugins, Google Play Game Services, click the on button, and you need to enable custom build, so hit the custom build check mark, and then you can close that. So we've got our custom build and we've got Google Play. We have this set up that we just need to plop in our app ID. Now the final thing we need to do is Google Play Console. So Google Play Console, you'll find the Google Play Console, play.google.com/console. Click go to Google Play Console. If you haven't yet, you're going to need to create a developer account, which costs, I think, $25. Create that, load into Google Play. All your apps will be here. We're going to create a new application. We'll say Google Play Test. It's going to be a game. It's going to be free. It's going to meet all of the things, and it's going to accept all the rules, that kind of nonsense. Read all this stuff at least once. I did it before. So we have our app here. Now we're going to try to do this with the minimum amount of work possible. So the first thing we need to do is on the left side, if you scroll all the way down, you're going to see where the Play Game Services, Setup and Management, right? So hit Configuration. So this is what we're going to do. Yes, my game already uses Google APIs. No. You would click no if you haven't done this yet. You will create the name of your game, and you are going to hit Create. And you can't have the word Google inside, so we're going to say game name is going to be Play Services Test, right? So Play Services Test, that's the name of our game, and we're going to hit Create. It's going to do a bunch of stuff. It's going to create some stuff in the background. And we're going to get here. So there's a list here of everything we need to do. First thing, create OAuth consent screen in Google Cloud Platform. Click that, and then click the Google Cloud Platform link. It will open it up here. Make sure that you're signed in and all that. You're going to notice that at the top somewhere, it's going to have your game name selected. If it's the wrong name, make sure to click the proper project. You're going to want to say what you're doing. Your user is going to be external if you're planning to put it on the App Store, and then hit Create. So your app name, so we're going to call it Play Services Test. User support email, that's fine. The app logo, we are going to use some stuff that I probably have in here. App logo, why not? Will that work? App domain, application homepage, Ozzadar.com, add domain, Ozzadar.com. Developer contact information will be the same thing, gmail.com. Save and continue. So we are scoping. So the scopes define the permissions that you're giving to Google Play to your game itself. So we just need, I would usually just do games light. If you want to, so associate you with your personal info on Google, I personally would never do. I don't want people's information. C, create, delete its own configuration data in your Google Drive. If you want to be able to save games and stuff, I think you might need this one. So I'll add that. Hit update on that, and you don't need the rest. Hit save and continue. Test users. For this one, I'm not entirely sure if you have to add yourself. I always add myself to be safe. So I've got two accounts that I use for testing. There's p.a.movial@gmail.com. And then there's also p.a.movial.bills@gmail.com. There we go. So make sure that whatever account you're using to test your application is on this list. If you're reaching error code 4, this could be the problem. Hit save and continue. Then you get your summary and you can go back to dashboard. And you've got your OAuth consent screen. Now, I don't know if you need to hit publish app. You can set your status to testing. Okay, yeah, so we'll keep it testing. I don't think we need to go any further than that. All right, so we can confirm that. Create credentials. Why is this link not working? So at the same time, okay, so it says to create credentials. I'm just going to do it because I know where it is. So from this OAuth consent screen, hit the credentials button. And then you're going to see various things here. You're going to see this create credentials button, which is what we want. And we want to do a OAuth client ID. We want a Android application type. We are going to say debug client package name. So the package name I believe is important. So again, you can keep it to default, but I am going to use my own thing, com.ozzadar.play services test. And this is going to be my package name. Now at this point, before I do anything else, I'm going to take this package name and I'm going to go to Godot. In my export configurations here, if you look in here, there is a spot for unique name here. For this, paste in whatever you chose on your OAuth consent screen. I'm not 100% sure if this has to be done, but I'm fairly sure it does. So do that just to be safe. Your SHA-1 certificate fingerprint. Just to remind you, if you go to your export for Android settings, you'll see it generates a key pair here for signing it. We need the SHA-1 key. So if you remember the original resource I linked to, there was this generate release debug key stores. At the bottom, there's get key fingerprints. And for your debug key store, it's this command here. We're gonna go to our terminal and we're gonna run the command. I've already did it up here. And we're going to take this SHA-1 command here. So let's just clear this and run the command so you can see exactly what it's doing. So we run the command and you're going to see it prints all the certificate information, including the SHA-1 certificate here. So copy that and inside your OAuth client ID, you print that there. If you are getting error 4 at the end of this process, this is probably a good place to look because this is where those errors usually stem from. Hit create. So you have a client ID here. Now, you don't actually need to keep this client ID. I don't think, but just let's go one step at a time. So with our debug client created, we will go back to our Google Play configuration. And we are going to go to credentials down at the bottom and we're going to hit Android credentials, hit add credentials. And you're going to see it's going to be an Android type. Name is play services test debug. Enable anti-piracy. I always just hit yes. OAuth client, the debug client we just created. Now, see here how important package name, fingerprint, and client ID, right? And then you save your changes here. And we are still in draft mode, so we're still okay. So with your credential created, we will now set up the app ID within Godot, right? So we created credentials, we added testers, we add the play game services. You can skip that part. Now the next thing you need to do is add your app ID. So if you look here under there's going to be your project name and there's going to be project ID. That is the app ID that you need. So copy this, go back to, again, if you go back here under build and source, build resource values, and that strings.xml we created. We have this chunk of code here and we want to add our app ID here, 704892. Just make sure it's the right one, 704892. Good. So that is how, that's most of the setup out of the way actually. So we can review this and publish. It says ready to publish. So there's going to be a few things that we need to do. So the first thing is we need a description. So let's just click these buttons and do things one at a time. Description, it's a play services test application for YouTube. Godot 3.3. Game category, educational. Save games, we'll turn that on. Game icon, 512 by 512. All right, so we're just gonna do what we did last time. We're gonna open Paint. We're gonna resize, make this 512 by 512, and this will be a happy circle with like that. File, save as, and we are going to make this. We will put that into the same folder, new folder, play assets, and open this, and this will be called icon. So our icon will be literally in our documents, same place, come on. Play test, play assets, icon. So we got our icon. Our feature graphic is 1024 by 500. So let's open this. We will move this more towards here. Let's 10, 20, 4, 5, 500. There, that's the size we need. So now let's take this, move this towards the middle, and we will save it as feature. And we will add the feature graphic here. And we will save that. Now we go back to configurations. We can say review and publish and see we're missing one. It says ready for publish. No details. We'll hit publish, publish game project. So the game is published, right? So with that done, we should now be able to log into Google Play services from Godot. That should be everything we need. So let's open it. Let's close this. Let's close this. And we're gonna we might actually need to reset this, but we're going to do this. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to create a new script. Called let's just say play integration.godot.gd, right? We'll delete everything here, and we will add a few things. So if once again we want to refer to our documentation here, we want to do one thing. The first thing is we're going to do a sign-in function. And what this is going to do is this is going to sign into Google Play or and then it'll say initialize and sign into Google Play. We will create an auto load to load this on when the project launches. So we go projects, project settings, auto load, navigate to our play integration, and we go like this. And then inside our main scene here, we will create a new script attached to the root, and we'll say we'll just call it welcome. Close this. We want to load our auto load. So on ready bar, let's just say play integration equal get node root slash, I forgot how to reference auto loads. So it's something like this. Let me just Google it. Godot auto loads. Auto load. We create it and we /root /player variables. Yeah, /root /play integration. Now this name has to match the name that we gave it inside our autoload here, node name, and I forgot to hit add, close. And that's why it didn't show up. So I believe now that I've clicked add properly, it's actually here, yeah. So we created this, and on ready, we will call sign play integration dot sign in. And that's what we're going to do. So now let's integrate, let's actually flesh out our sign in function. So the first thing is we want to have a var Google Play Services variable up top. GD Google. Let's go back to our documentation. Doesn't show. So it's not showing the type inside here. Google. Yeah, so we're just going to say play services, and then we need to do this here. We will do if play game services Godot play game services, and we will just do that. So then we need to initialize, right? So all we really need to do to initialize is copy up to here and play services. So this is how we do our init. Now for the request token, this can actually be here. You don't need that. You actually do not need this request token. From what I've seen, we're going to double check that. So this will initialize it. And now, is there an on init failed? It doesn't look like there is. So we are going to sign in. So first thing is if play services is not empty, then we will say play services dot sign in, and I think that's it. Sign in, yes. And that's all we need to do to sign in. Now if we do this just like this, we might get a result, but we want to actually see these results and we can see what it shows. So we are going to copy these callbacks like this. And we are actually just going to print user profile like this. And then we are going to print an error code here, print error code like this. Error signing in. Now this error signing in is most likely to be 4. Now before we do this, we are going to do one last thing. You see up here we have all these connect functions here. So we will just copy these and put them inside here. Now notice how I'm just copying and pasting a bunch of code. You can figure out all these stuff yourself by looking at the README. But this is supposed to be kind of a refresher with the newer paradigms. Make sure that these are called the right thing. And these are good. So now, oops. Now we have a sign-in loop. So now we should be able to sign in like this. So we're going to build, this is going to take a good few minutes because this is the first time we've built our export templates. And we might actually need to restart the editor, but we'll see. one thing I forgot to mention, there's probably going to be a couple more things we actually need to play with in the Android build settings. But for now, we're just going to do this, let it do its thing, and we'll get to it when it happens. All right, so this is what I thought would happen. So you'll see here, it failed to build. And this is because the newer plugin needs a min SDK version of at least 21, which is not set. So if we go back to our Google Play test and Android in our build folder, let's just open that in code again and look around. So inside our build folder, not in resource, you're going to find I believe it's going to be in our build.gradle file, config.gradle. So inside your config.gradle file, right at the top, you'll see here x.versions, and you're going to see min SDK 19. Change that to 21, and that should be enough to fix this issue. Now, I don't precisely know what caused the change in minimum version to happen. I believe the fork that I got the initial 3.3 fix from before I added a couple functions to it upgraded the Google Play version, or the Google Play library, which required a higher SDK version than the older 3.2 plugin. So I believe that's why it's asking for a new minimum version. But with that fix, you see here, now it's launching on a device. And if we wait for it to launch, and it crashed. Why did it crash? Let's debug and deploy with remote debug and figure out why this crashed on me. Allow access. It's really weird that it crashed. So it ran. You'll see that tries to connect to Google to play games. It will come up with the OAuth consent screen because our email is listed as one of the testers. You're going to get this verified app, and it's being tested. Accept all of the warnings, and you'll get the nice, okay, so I had an error because the user profile did not have a token inside. So the information within it is wrong, but you'll see here that everything else worked. So we delete that, and let's just continue. Fudge. I don't want to play, I want to continue. We get the wait, and we get the sign in message perfectly. So that is exactly how you do it, start to finish, to get Google Play integration going and get the sign in working. A lot of people were hitting error 4s, and again, if you're hitting error 4s in your Google Play console, it's actually your console.cloud here. You're going to want your OAuth consent screen to have the users you're using to test. This is important. And your credentials, you're going to want to make sure that your credentials here have the correct SHA-1 certificate fingerprint. Other than that, some people were saying that you need to create this as a web application token and pass it in as with the request token. You might need to do that if you're deploying it as a web application maybe, but as an Android application, as I just showed you, it's not required. If you did it and it needed to be required, you did something wrong in the process. So hopefully that shows you roughly how to do everything. Now, one caveat, and I'm going to do this just once. I'm I'm not going to go through the entire process, but let's say we go here. We finished our application here and we want to export it. And we want to export it, and our release key is actually going to be the same as our debug key, because it really doesn't matter. So our release key is going to be the same as our debug key, and we want to release this to more people than just yourselves, just your internal testers, right? So you're going to export without debug as an APK. We're going to create a new folder. We're going to call it build, and we'll call this Google Play test.apk. So that's going to export it as an APK, and then we're going to bring the APK into Google Play, and I'll show you one thing that where you might start hitting error 4 again. Just give it a minute here, it's taking its time. All right, so I created the APK, I think. We'll check. So Google Play test, build. So you have your APK, right? So inside your Google Play console here, let's just do it like this and make this smaller. So inside your Google Play console here, at the top, you're going to have here testing, right? So let's say you want to do an internal testing round. So you need to create a new release, right? We're going to say alpha 0.01. You create your notes, just a quick Google Play services test, right? And you're going to save this, and you're going to upload your APK. So drop that there. So one important thing that you should realize, see how app signing key generated was shown in upload a valid app bundle. Why is it not valid? Oh, it needs an AAB. Is there a way to switch it to an AAB? Project settings. There's got to be a way to change it to an AAB, right? So make sure to switch it to AAB, and let's do that again. AAB. So it looks like Google Play is only accepting AABs now, so we'll switch that to AABs. So it looks like it generated okay. Let's look back here. We've got our AAB. Now let's try putting that in here. So while this happens, I'll just keep on talking a little bit. So notice here how it says app and perfect. So now that's uploaded. Let me just go over a few things quickly. First, notice here at the top it says app integrity, releases signed by Google Play. Google will generate and protect an app signing key for your releases. So what happens here is whatever you do, no matter what you sign it with, Google is going to replace the key that you signed the app with its own key. So we'll save this release, right? We will review the release, and there's an error. You must let it know whether your app is a COVID-19 tracking app. Really? Really? That's fucking stupid. Sorry, that's really stupid. All right, so let's go back to, how do I change that then? How do I fix it? You dick. Is it a fucking COVID app? Of course it's not a COVID app. Okay, seriously. Draft, show summary. How do I review? How do I change it? Where's the edit button? Edit release, okay. So is it a COVID tracking app? How do I tell it whether it's a COVID tracking app? No, where's the... It'd be nice if they told me where to actually tell them that. You must know what your app is. So it's probably inside, let's see. Maybe it's under setup, internal, advanced setting, open testing. Set up your app, view tasks. This one. My app is a public My app is not a public code, as if that's an actual thing now. Okay, so let's go back to our releases page, internal testing. Let's review. Warnings. There's no testers. There's no deobfuscation file associated. App bundle contains native code and no debug symbols. That's fine. So we need testers. So we need to configure our testing track. Select testers here. So I have an internal list here, which is, I think it's just my 2 emails. Yeah. So make sure to select your testers, save changes here. Then go back to our internal testing here. Review and rollout. Only 2 warnings is fine, and then start rollout on internal testing. Okay, so to get back to the point I was making, in order for you to be able to test this application on a real device through Google Play, notice how there's an app integrity option here. And notice how there's an app signing certificate, and you've got a SHA-1 certificate for fingerprint right here, right? You need to set up a new credential for this fingerprint, or you will get error for 100%. So you copy this, you go back to your Google Play configuration. In Android here, you want to add a credential, Android, and then we say release because it's the release credential. What is this? Then we say use this credential for new installs. And then we say yes for anti-piracy. And then we want to create a new OAuth client. Hit create. And again, it's going to be credentials on the side. You'll hit add create. So credentials on the side here. Create credentials, OAuth client key, Android. And we say play services release. Package name is Ozzadar. And let me just make sure that I take the right package name. Oops, project export package name. Take this package name here, and we need to take the fingerprints that we got from here. Invalid. Of course that's invalid. We need to go to app integrity, leave and discard. Take our SHA-1 here, finish creating our credentials here, create it. So this is created. Now we need to finish. Creating our credentials here. So Android, add credential. Release, new installs, anti-piracy, and we take the release and we hit save changes. Then everything is here. Go back to configuration, review and publish, and make sure to publish your changes. All right, so with that done, we have our release track. What we want to do is we want to promote, and we don't want to promote it. We want to give the, how do we send it? Not reviewed. Show summary, go to device catalog. Where do I get testers? Copy this link. We will go to the link on here, but first, if your testers have it installed locally, they are going to need to uninstall it. So I've got multiple things here for some reason. Oh, probably I changed the package name, that's why. So let's just remove both of them. Go to the Play Game, let's not go to the Play Game Store. Let's go to Google Chrome. Yeah, whatever, I don't care. Yeah, no, I don't, no. Don't turn on sync. This is not a real device. There we go. We want to go to this website. And we want to sign in, obviously. Let's not show my password. I think that's it. Okay. Let me just... And then we get here, unreviewed. We go here, accept the invitation. There we go. And then we download it on Google Play. And we can install it here. Now notice how I don't have any icons or anything. The last video I made, I added a bunch of extra steps for creating all the icons and everything and publishing it, so all of your Play Store listings are good, but you don't actually need that. So open that. And now in theory, if I did everything correctly, it should sign in properly. And it signs in properly. So that is how you create a release and how you would set up your SHA-1 keys for release. Just quick refresher, because it's really important. When you create your internal release, when you create any release, it will be signed by Google using its app integrity system, which will sign it with the SHA keys that it creates and manages for you. So just remember that you cannot give whatever you put in here is not your release key. It's going to be overwritten by this. All right, so that was how you do it. That's the new process. It's the same process as before, but I have distilled it down as far as I possibly can from start to beginning, because I've done it a few times now. As you saw, there was actually very little issues that went on there beyond minor device issues and stuff like that, but it works. So with that said, thanks for watching. If you appreciate me remaking this video in a more clear, more concise fashion, or maybe less concise but more thorough fashion, then hit the buttons down below, leave a comment, say thank you. I appreciate you all. See you next time.